I'm getting ready now to harvest my goldenrod. I've been waiting for it to bloom. I want to get it before the blooms turn colors. I want to get them as they're first opening up, and you can see when you look at it, you've got some that are more open than others, but I definitely want to get them before they start turning colors. Goldenrod is one of these great herbs that is so good for us upper respiratory. And it's especially good for nasal congestion. That also helps with urinary tract inflammation and infection. Now I've got it all over my place in different areas. Okay, we've made it back from the field after harvesting the goldenrod. It grows wild over most of the country. Here in East Texas, it is blooming at the end of September and through October. It may be a little earlier where you live or a little later according to your location and depending on which species. Now it may get 6 to 7 feet tall and some just get 2 or 3 feet tall. It is easily recognized by these bright yellow flowers and this Christmas tree. You see this kind of Christmas tree shape it makes. If you're lucky, the species in your part of the country has an anise-scented fragrance that would make a nice tea and infused honey or an oxymel. And the early colonists did make tea out of it, and the Indians make tea out of it. In my part of the country, it just smells and tastes like a weed. I will be harvesting both the leaves and the flowers and the flowering tops. I will go probably all the way down to where it joins on to the bigger part of the stem. Now we are ready to make an alcohol-free goldenrod tincture with glycerin called a glycerite. The traditional method of making herb tinctures is 2 to 4 weeks rather than as alcohol or glycerin. But what if you need it now? This modern method called a sealed simmered glycerite is ready in 1 day. So let's get our supplies together. Okay, so of course we need our fresh flowering tops of goldenrod. We need food grade vegetable glycerin. Now it needs to say vegetable glycerin, it needs to say food grade. What you do not want is the little brown bottles that come from the drugstore. If you read the back, it says if accidentally ingested, contact poison control. Now Star West Botanicals makes a vegetable glycerin that is food grade. Now makes a vegetable glycerin, but I cannot confirm anywhere that it is food grade. Now we also need distilled water. You don't have to use distilled water, but distilled water has been distilled where the chemicals, the minerals, impurities, everything has been taken out, making it an empty water. An empty water can better absorb the properties of the herb that you are using. Now, depending on how much tinctures you're going to make, you either need a water bath canner or a deep pan will work that either has a steam basket or rack with a tight fitting lid. Of course, you need your heat source. Now you need canning jars of different sizes. You need a mixing container with a spoon, which your canning jar and a spoon will work. You need measuring devices. You need funnels. These funnels are really nice because they fit right inside of the canning jar. You find them in your canning department. Now you also need a jar lifter. You are going to be lifting hot, boiling jars out of your canner or pan, so this is a must. You need a chopping block and a knife. You need a strainer. Now, I really like these reusable coffee filters, but you can certainly use cheesecloth or a muslin bag or even a jelly bag. You need a dark colored bottle, and of course a funnel that fits inside, or you can use another canning jar. But you also need to be able to label your jar or your bottle. Now you can, buy your labels and do that, but I really like the painter's tape with a black felt tip marker. It goes on the jar, it stays on the jar, but comes right off when you're ready. Okay, let's start working on our goldenrod glycerite. Okay, first you're going to strip your goldenrod from the stem. If you just go in the opposite direction that it grows, it comes off quite easy. When you get to the tip end of the flowers, you just kind of pinch that off. And then you want to chop it really fine. The finer you chop it, the more herb is exposed to your solvent and more of the herbal properties are extracted. Okay, we're filling our jar kind of just right up here to this, maybe right to that rim right there. Okay, and now we're ready for our distilled water. Now when we use our glycerin, it has to be diluted. So you dilute your glycerin according to whether or not you're using fresh herbs or dried herbs. We're using fresh herbs. We're using a ratio of 7 parts glycerin to 3 parts distilled water. Now I have already pre-mixed this, and as far as parts, I just have like a little 1/4 of a cup measuring. And I use 7 glycerin and 3 distilled water. And then I stirred it really well. You probably want to stir this, for at least 2 minutes to make sure it's thoroughly stirred. And I might shake it up a little and make sure it's really well mixed. Now I'm going to pour my glycerin into my jar, and I want to come up to within a 1/4 inch of the jar. And I'm going to use a spoon, get all these little air bubbles out. Make sure it's stirred really well. And then seal it with my candy lid and ring. Now it's just a matter of putting it. Okay, well this pan did not work because the lid will not fit over there. So we're back to using our water bath cannon. So I'll just place those in there, lower the rack, fill it up with water. Well, till the jars are covered. Put on the lid. Then I'm going to bring this to a full rolling boil or until the steam starts escaping. And I'm going to boil it for 15 minutes. Now we're not going to, that takes about 45 minutes to do that. But I already have some made up. So when you do get it done, you're going to raise your rack up. And then you would very carefully bring your jars out of the hot liquid. Now then you're going to want to let that cool before you try to strain it. At least five or 10 minutes. already made up so I can show you. It's just a simple matter of when you've used this, these lids seal and you have a hard time getting them off. It's just a matter of straining it. Now you can let that set a few hours, or you can use a spoon to mash it down. Then you're ready to put it in your jar. You notice I have my jar. I've marked it goldenrod glycerite. I've put the month and the date so I know how old it is. Now if you've made this and you've got more than what you have bottles for, I mean, you could easily just leave it in the jar until you're ready to do it later. Okay, now it's now ready to use. A glycerin tincture is not as strong as an alcohol tincture. Alcohol tinctures are taken by drops. Glycerin tinctures are taken by the spoonful or dropperful. Although goldenrod is good for all upper respiratory problems, it is especially helpful for sinus congestion. Take a dropperful or a teaspoon, wait 1 hour. If you still have the symptoms, take another dropperful. If this does work for you, just take whenever the symptoms return. Goldenrod is also effective for urinary tract infections and inflammation. Now, if you wanted to use dried herbs, you can watch my videos on making a glycerite with dried herbs. Thank you, and y'all come back.